New rumors suggest that former AEW Women's World Champion Mariah may have requested her release from All Elite Wrestling within days of her program finishing with Timeless Toni Storm, with more details regarding just how long she has left on her current AEW contract. We have the ratings for Saturday's edition of AEW Collision, more details and the latest developments in the Ryan Nemeth AEW lawsuit now going to private arbitration. WWE CCO Triple H opens up on the bitching and effing complaining from internet fans. An update on if Bron Breakker suffered an injury last night on Monday Night Raw. Brian Cage has already undergone surgery for his injury and is already back in the gym. Tony Khan opens up on criticism of his booking in AEW. And Topps and WWE are launching a match use patch program for WrestleMania 41, Raw and SmackDown debuts. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we get into today's news stories, you can see right there, we are less than 130 subscribers away from 21,000. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. And also, you can see right there in the sidebar, you can scan the QR code to join the Wrestling News 365 roster. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. Whilst you're also checking out the sidebar, you can see all upcoming watch-alongs and post-shows that we're going to be having this week. One of the busiest weeks of the pro wrestling calendar. We're going to have a watch-along for SmackDown, the final SmackDown before WrestleMania on Friday. Saturday, we're going to have NXT Stand and Deliver, a watch-along and a post-show. Saturday, we'll also have WrestleMania Saturday, watch-along and post-show. Sunday, we'll have WrestleMania Sunday, watch-along and post-show. Plus, Monday night, we'll have a Raw after WrestleMania watch-along and post-show too. Right, let's get into the latest developments when it comes to Mariah May and a possible exit from AEW, possibly being on her way to WWE. Now, let's begin with Mike Johnson of PW Insider, who says that he's got a significant amount of emails asking about rumors of Mariah May exiting All Elite Wrestling to go to WWE. Now, PW Insider are reporting they have been told that May still has, quote, significant time left on her contract, so anyone expecting an imminent appearance would be disappointed. According to Johnson, one source believed May's AEW deal could run through November of this year, while another believes there may be additional time beyond that. Now, May has not been on the road since her program with Timeless Toni Storm ended, with the Hollywood ending at AEW Revolution. Now, it should be noted there was a rumor, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, making the rounds within days of May's program with Toni Storm ending, that May had requested a release from her AEW deal, but at the time, PW Insider says they were never able to confirm that was accurate. Obviously, she hasn't been released from her AEW deal at the time recording this video. According to PW Insider, WWE sources played coy regarding interest in May, citing that she signed elsewhere. Another update on this situation has come from Sean Rossap of Fightful Select, who has confirmed that Mariah May is indeed in a contract year and those around wrestling are expecting her to get paid. Fightful Select were one of the first to report that May is indeed in her contract year and expected to get interest from virtually anywhere she could want to go. The Wrestling Observer had noted that people close to her believe WWE has always been the goal and people in AEW expected her to go to WWE. While there are some that believe that, Fightful say they've spoken to sources since the start of this being reported who claim she's being wise and maximizing her leverage and negotiating power. AEW absolutely hopes to retain Mariah May, from what Fightful Select has been told throughout this entire process. Fightful have not heard of her being at any AEW show since Revolution, which does line up with PW Insider's reporting as well. Now, Fightful say there was some misinformation spread upon Fightful learning the news, claiming that Mariah to WWE was already something in the works or effectively a done deal. There were even people inquiring to Fightful about an internal incoming list that she was on. That list, according to Sean Rossap, doesn't exist, and Mariah May is not listed internally for anything as it relates to WWE. The company has an internal roster page that Jeff Cobb has been on for a month, but he's been without contract during that period. May has a number of months left on her current AEW contract at least. The biggest surprise among those that Fightful spoke to was the possibility that Mariah May was only on a deal of this length, considering that's quite out of the norm for AEW contracts. Now, Fightful say they reached out to Mariah May and her management upon the original story, but they didn't comment. Of course, it looks like it's going to be a developing story throughout the week, and certainly the next couple of weeks and months, if indeed it gets there. If we get any more details on this, we'll let you know in an upcoming video. Now, let's talk about the ratings for AEW Collision this past Saturday. With the show set to move to Thursday this week and other Thursday dates seemingly on the horizon, AEW Collision's time on Saturday might be running short. For this past weekend, at least, Collision was nestled comfortably into its usual time slot, and for the first time in a few weeks, didn't have to worry about going against the ratings juggernaut that is March Madness. That appeared to show in Collision's final numbers. WrestleNomics reports that Collision drew 455,000 total viewers, along with a 0.12 in the coveted 18 to 49 demographic. Now, both numbers were up considerably from April 5th, with total viewership rising 36% from 335,000, and the 18 to 49 up 50% from a 0.08. Both categories were up against the 4-week average as well, with total viewership increasing 26%, while the 18 to 49 rose 33%. Now, in terms of the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics. Shout out to them, and be sure to subscribe to their Patreon. As you can see right there, well above what we've seen in the last 90 days from AEW Collision. While Collision has drawn higher numbers in the last few months when preempted by sports coverage, this past weekend represents the highest viewership Collision has drawn in its normal time slot since December 21st. The show ranked 4th on the night, trailing only UFC prelims on ESPN, college hockey playoffs on ESPN2, and House Hunters on HGTV. While it's unclear, Collision may have benefited from a solid lead-in once more, this time from Avengers Endgame, which drew a strong 486,000 and a 0.13. Collision was all about the men's and women's Owen Hart Cup tournament, featuring 3 first-round matches. The show opened with Jamie Hayter defeating Billy Starks in a spirited contest, advancing Hayter to a semi-final match against Chris Statlander. An hour later, Athena punched her ticket to a semi-final match against Mercedes Moné, defeating Harley Cameron. Finally, the show closed with a hard-hitting match between Konosuke Takeshita and Brody King, with Takeshita winning to secure a second-round match with Will Ospreay this Wednesday on AEW Dynamite Spring Breakthrough. Now, big update here when it comes to the lawsuit that involves former AEW star Ryan Nemeth. Now, Ryan Nemeth's lawsuit against AEW will move to private arbitration. Nemeth's attorney, Mike Caspino, gave the following statement to Brandon Thurston of Post Wrestling, saying, quote, "There has been no settlement. The parties have agreed to submit the matter to arbitration," end quote. Nemeth filed a lawsuit in February against Tony Khan, AEW, and CM Punk, alleging assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and intentional interference with prospective advantage. Now, according to Thurston, Nemeth submitted filings on Friday and Monday to voluntarily dismiss his lawsuit in the Los Angeles Superior Court. Likewise, AEW filed on Monday to dismiss its petition in U.S. District Court in Florida, which aimed to compel Nemeth into arbitration, end quote. Arbitration is a private process where disputes are resolved by a neutral third party. In late March, Nemeth recounted how he was served with the lawsuit before he walked on stage for his off-Broadway debut play. Now let's go to Triple H. Of course, he's been doing a lot of media ahead of WrestleMania this weekend. And WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque has opened up on bitching and effing complaining from internet fans. Over the years, many wrestling fans online have voiced their opinions in regards to the television product, with the company occasionally shifting plans to appease fans online, similarly to last year with WrestleMania 40 and Cody Rhodes, The Rock, Roman Reigns, and others. However, it seems as though fan opinions online are no longer a top priority to the company, with Triple H commenting on the fan complaining online. Speaking on Flagrant with Andrew Schultz, Triple H opened up on the internet fans' opinions, noting that the bitching and effing complaining online isn't real life. Here's what the game had to say.
The internet's not real life, right? And the bitching and the fucking complaining that is on there is not real life. Like you could read the internet and it'll sound like this thing is dead. It's not, and I'll use Cody as the example. Cody's already jumped the shark. He's dead as a baby face. He's like, really? Because I don't know. I'm in an arena with 10,000, 15,000 people every night going ape shit for me, selling the most merchandise. He's like, yeah, but sure, whatever you want to say on the internet.
Right,
that's the.
Now, Bron Breakker, an update when it comes to Bron Breakker. There was some concern coming out of Raw last night that maybe the Intercontinental Champion may have suffered an injury. Concern emerged over Bron Breakker's status heading into WrestleMania 41 following his involvement in a brawl on Monday Night Raw. After Finn Balor versus Penta ended in a no contest, a wild brawl took place between the two competitors, Bron Breakker and Dominic Mysterio, in a preview of the Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. Breakker went for a spear to Penta during the final moments of the brawl, but the move was blocked and Breakker spilled to the outside before Penta connected with a crossbody to the floor onto the Intercontinental Champion, Mysterio, and Carlito. There was some concern on social media about Breakker as he was clutching his knee following the crossbody. The 27-year-old was simply selling, however, and Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that he was told that Bron Breakker is okay. Breakker's Intercontinental title defense against Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor will take place on night 2 of WrestleMania 41, that being WrestleMania Sunday. Switching back over to AEW and an injury update here when it comes to Brian Cage. Brian Cage has returned to the gym after undergoing successful surgery. Cage has been out of action for several weeks. On the April 9th edition of AEW Dynamite, Don Callis announced that the Don Callis family would be recruiting new members due to injury sustained to Cage and Mark Davis. The Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer was first to report Cage was suffering from an injury. In a new set of Instagram stories, Cage showed off his wound post-surgery, confirming a procedure on his knee. Cage also shared that he had returned to the gym for the first time after undergoing surgery and had previously been working out in the gym with a brace he was wearing beforehand. Of course, as I mentioned, Cage last competed for AEW on the March 19th episode of AEW Collision. There is currently no timetable for Cage's return to the ring, but if we get any more details, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, Tony Khan has opened up on criticism and how he listens to it, particularly if it's constructive. Now, AEW Dynamite is set to hit a milestone on Wednesday when it becomes the longest-running wrestling show ever on TBS/TNT. Throughout its 289 episodes, fans praised and criticized certain moments, and some believe the show would never make it this far. Speaking to John Alba of Sports Illustrated's The Takedown, AEW President Tony Khan addressed the criticism some fans and former performers may have of his booking over the years. Quote, "I do like to listen to feedback from lots of people across pro wrestling, and especially if it's constructive. It can be really helpful," he said. "I think there's a lot of times where you hear somebody say something and they say, oh, why didn't they do it this way? Or instead of going from point A to point B and then point C, maybe off in between point and point B, they could have added this. And so maybe there's a good idea they can use in the future." He continued by saying, "I really do love hearing feedback from all kinds of people, from people in wrestling, wrestlers, people who work in wrestling in the production side or both, and fans that I've never been backstage at a show in their lives, but just love wrestling and watch it a lot, and they have great ideas. I'd never been backstage at a wrestling show until I was in my 30s, and I just grew up watching it and loving it and following it and, trading tapes and talking about it. So there's a lot of different places and a lot of different ways that you can get an idea about wrestling or that you can contribute. I just think it's really neat that there are people from literally all over the world in hundreds of countries that follow the same sport and can share ideas and talk with each other. It's really cool." And finally, an announcement today from WWE and Topps as we go into WrestleMania. WWE and Topps are introducing a new Match Use Patch program beginning at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, Nevada. WWE and Topps have unveiled 2 new Match Use Patch programs, WrestleMania Patch and Main Roster Debut Patch, which introduce premium Logo Man style patches to WWE trading cards. Each WWE superstar at WrestleMania 41 will wear this patch on their gear, which will be put into trading cards. Similar patches will also be used for WWE superstars making their main roster debuts, beginning with the WWE Raw after WrestleMania on April 21st. After that, the patches will be removed, autographed, and put onto exclusive one-of-a-kind trading cards with full authentication. Topps will continue to sell these special edition cards at hobby shops later this year, continuing a tradition that began with MLB and MLS. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. As I mentioned, less than 130 subscribers to go until 21,000. It's the biggest week of the year. The goal was to hit 20,000 just this year alone. So the fact that we're closing on 21,000 is absolutely insane. So I really appreciate all the new subscribers, everyone that's been subscribed since day one or somewhere in between. If you haven't already, you can subscribe, join the ever-growing Wrestle News universe. In addition, you can join the WN365 roster. Links in the video description below. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. You can also scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. Speaking of that sidebar, you can see right there all of the upcoming watch-alongs and post-shows we've got coming up during one of the biggest weeks of the year, that being WrestleMania week. We've got Friday Night SmackDown watch-along and post-show. Saturday, we've got NXT Stand and Deliver watch-along and possible post-show. We've got WrestleMania Saturday watch-along and post-show. Sunday, we've got WrestleMania Sunday watch-along and post-show. And then on Monday, we've got the Raw after WrestleMania, a watch-along and a post-show for that. And plus, Anything else that happens in between, you never know. It's certainly a newsworthy week. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, click that notification bell, and you'll be notified when we go live or a new video is uploaded. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.